Palamenti eggwanga wakati omuliro gukutte anti minisita ow'ensonga z'omunda mu ggwanga mu gavumenti ya Kyagulanyi omubaka Betty Nambooze bakireke awanda muliro ku by'okuzza obuggya National ID oba Endaga Muntu z'Abannayuganda. Agamba nti zino ze tubadde tulina byali bicupuli ate era abantu bangi baabonaabona okuzifuna nga n'olwaleero bantu bangi bakyaweebwa ID ate zigenda okugibwa mu system kyokka ng'ebulamye ezibwezi atuddemu tuwandiisibwe okufuna ID endala. Kati yeebuuza abano abali mu kuweebwa ID olwaleero babawazaaki kyokka nga twagenda kubaawo mass registration eya IDs empya ezigenda okuba nga zikozesebwa. N'olwekyo omuliro gwakutte dda. Kino ekiteeso kyayitibwa omubaka Beth Ethel Narima owa Wakiso omubaka omukyala mu National Platform nga yeebuuza National ID ezigenda okuggwako gavumenti erowooza kizigenda kutandika ddi abantu okuwaayibwa National ID empya era kyetaagisa ssente oba za bwereere ye lwaki Endaga Muntu ya Munnayuganda omuzaale wa wano eba eggwako kiba kyonoona ensimbi z'omuwoomusolo nti omuntu akuwe National ID nga yeeyo paka lw'oliva bulamu obwensi. Kale katugende mu Palamenti atufune Maama Betty Nambooze bakireke.
Yes, Shadow Minister Internal Affairs, then Karangala. I don't know about it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, I want first of all to thank Honorable Nalima for raising this matter. And I don't know, Mr. Speaker, why the ministry, these ministers on their own deny this parliament information. You see, each one of us here has an issue to raise, Mr. Speaker. But hadn't it been for Honorable Nalima to raise this through a matter of national importance, I don't know when the minister had planned to give Parliament this information. Mr. Speaker, sir, that having been said, I want to know, first of all, if it is not prudent for us to rethink this exercise. First of all, even before we talk about renewal, a number of Ugandans have not accessed the first registration yet. They haven't got the IDs, but we are talking now about a mass exercise to do the renewal even before each and every Ugandan procure an ID. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, when you hear the presentation of the minister, it gives you a feeling that NIRA is just beginning. It has everything. They are procuring everything. They are going for training. They are doing everything for the first time. So it is even difficult to believe that this institution has been around for some years now. And even some of the things for which they need money are very basic, Mr. Speaker, sorry to say so. Two, the issue of local government's involvement. It is high time, Mr. Speaker, that we revisit the issue of decentralization. The Constitution, Article 176, provides that for whatever we do, we shall devolve the responsibilities and the functions to local governments in an organized manner. Some of these matters would be quickly handled and in the best way by local governments. But you see that NIRA is over-centralized. That is why the minister was saying that the local governments better take interest, whereas they would have been the implementers because they are the governments that are near the people and know their areas better than any other institution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, banks have already issued us with warnings that with the expiry of our IDs, that will make them hold our accounts. I don't know if that time comes and the eyes are not ready. What the minister is planning to do for institutions that will consider our IDs expired, including courts of law. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, every other day we increase the law of the ID. For students now, the new education policy introduced the recording of results for national examinations from the day a student joins secondary, and those results are recorded on somebody's NINI number. Where a student does not have a NINI number, the student is required to provide the NINI number of the parent. So it appears that the ID these days is more important, is required in so many areas than we had originally thought about. And I think it's high time we draw a proper distinction between the voters' ID and the national ID, because it doesn't mean that every citizen of Uganda is a voter. Yet every citizen of Uganda is qualified for national ID, including children. So we cannot national ID to elections because voters are voters. And there was a colleague who was saying that we are the people to boycott the registration. There is a difference between boycotting the registration of voters and then the registration of
those mountains, 40 kilometers, moving to get a national ID. What we are going to put? I had around Honorable Sakero, and I'll do Honorable Aaron Mayanja.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
I'll first speak opposition, then I come to independent.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to add my voice in thanking the Minister for the statement. I have about 3 issues. One of them is, I don't know whether this mass registration is going to take care of the use of a centralized data. In other countries, this data that is got is used once, it will go once. When I go to passport, it's the same data that I will use. When I go to for driving permit, to get a driving permit, it's the same data. But then when I want a passport, they will ask me fresh information. And yet I already have a lot of information with NIRA. So I don't know whether this is going to take care of this so that we have a centralized data that can be used actually across board. And secondly, this would actually help us a lot with our revenue collection. In other developed countries, these NINs that we have actually summarizes you as an individual or as a citizen. Because if you fail to pay tax, it will detect that Akela Lucy has failed to pay tax. When I go to renew my passport, or I go to renew my permit, it will show that I have not paid my tax and I will not be given, that document. Secondly, it is about the issue that Honorable Chan raised, but I'm going to bring it from another angle. Right Honorable Speaker, in the last registration, we had very interesting scenarios where the machine would actually read a human being as a gorilla, because they would fail to, or a chimpanzee, because they would fail to get the features of the, they would fail to, the machines fail to detect the features of the thumb. Actually, I have an ID which says cannot sign, that I cannot sign. I have it simply because the machine failed to acknowledge and read my signature. So it just said unable to sign. So are we taking care of these things? And then, of course, Honorable Lukwang talked about the quality. I think the new ones, really, we must work on the quality, the picture quality, and everything in it. Otherwise, thank you, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Honorable Mayanja, Honorable Chirumira.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. My concern, and in Nakaseke, we have hundreds of people. They fail to get national IDs, not because they don't want, but these biometric machines failed to read their fingerprints. Specifically, people who are in constructions, the cement destroys their fingerprints. Women who are in salons, cosmetics, they destroy their fingerprints. There are many in Nakaseke. They can't access banking services. They can't access government services, hospital services. They are really, really suffering. So, Minister, you need to be specific on this. How are you going to cater for these people. Secondly, my national ID 2030. So I also need to renew my ID because most people, they have their IDs expiring 2030, 2029. So this mass registration, does it also, these people, they have to go for it? And thirdly, which is the last, after collecting people's data, the massive registration is done, you are going to take for how long? How many days? How many weeks? How many months? These people to acquire their renewed national IDs. Thank you.
Thank you. And that addresses, I think, the issue which Honorable Semuja had shared with me earlier on. Because if you issued me, like the IDs you're issuing now, when are they expiring? Are we going to have your ID? Because the ID with the new features is going to be the one used with effect from this day. Okay? Honorable Chirumira, Honorable Anifa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And my concern relates to your guidance because best practice, IDs are supposed to be for life. If you go around the East African region, Rwanda and Kenya, they have aligned their system to that. Botswana and southern part of Africa, they are also using the same ID system that do not expire. My biggest concern, right, Honorable Speaker, is on the East African region. We are agitating for continuous integration within the region, and these people are allowing Ugandans to access their territories on the basis of their ID. Now, my biggest worry
is one of the areas that has been cited, and my experience serves a lot, Right Honorable Speaker. So, Right Honorable Speaker, when I saw the minister very excited when he was submitting that he was given money under supplementary, I got very worried, Right Honorable Speaker. We have instances where we have suppliers who haven't been paid, yet their money was declared under supplementary. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I request the minister not to commit service providers under instances where we don't have money. We have domestic areas of over 10 trillion. Ugandans are suffering. They gave services to government and they've not been paid for the last 6 years. So, Honorable Minister, don't get excited over supplementary. We pass supplementary budgets without money, without clear sources of revenue. So, I caution you as a former minister not to commit government under circumstances where you don't have money. Right Honorable Speaker,
Point of order.
two.
Point of order.
Right Honorable Speaker, I did not intend to really interrupt my sister, the Honorable Reti, but she has put it on record twice that she is a former minister. Ministers in the case of Uganda are appointed by His Excellency the President and approved by Parliament. And I have never seen the name of the Honorable Goreti. Is she really in order to indicate twice that she is a former Minister of Science and Technology, and yet we know the Minister of Science and Technology is the Honorable Dr. Musonero. Is she in order?
Thank you. No, Honorable colleague, I think we can just add on to say in the shadow cabinet. Okay? But for good news, Honorable Minister, the warnings are very serious because she's the vice chairperson, Park Central. So you will appear before her and I'm sure she will say, I warned you, and you didn't listen. No, but
thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. But I thought my colleague knew the fact that I'm this side, it automatically shows that I'm in the shadow. But point noted. Right, Honorable Speaker. The other issue is about delayed procurement processes. We are very lucky that the new law, the procurement regulations and the act, at least it's a new law that has stipulated processes by reducing those timelines and the procurement cycle. Honorable Minister, I request that because the law was effective 5th February, I request that these are taken into consideration such that we avoid all those delays that were arising out of delays in the procurement process. Right, Honorable Speaker? There are so many agencies that have failed to utilize their budgets because of delays in these processes. So I encourage you, Honorable Minister, to ensure that we mitigate any further delays that lead to inefficiency and ineffectiveness in provision of government services. That's still right, Honorable Speaker. This issue of how I wish we can adopt Honorable Nambooze's idea of dropping this project of renewing IDs. It is very costly to this government. And in line that you are even looking forward to merging agencies and looking forward to saving 1 trillion, this 300 billion could be a saving to government to invest in more productive areas than this one. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
But Honorable colleagues, to me, I'm looking forward to an ID which I will come with, and I swipe at the airport. I go through without even, I'm looking more to an integrated ID that can take me anywhere, that has all features, you know. I hope that's what they want to give us. Honorable Chiboga.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my people from Chiboga, especially the Banyarwanda tribe, are denied passports. The rest of us use our IDs to process passports. I don't know when it comes to this tribe, why they are segregated. And at the point at which they are segregated is even after they have paid money. So I don't know, will their IDs be renewed this time around? Because they're worried that probably if they cannot proceed with their IDs to process passports, it is a challenge. And Right Honorable Speaker, we also need to strengthen the photocopies of the IDs. It is really very dangerous to move with the original everywhere. I don't know how the photocopies can in some way be recognized to process certain things. It is dangerous, and that is why replacements are many and very tedious, and it is really a challenge to our people, especially elderly and people with disability. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you,
Right
Dochi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank the Minister for the report. Mr. Speaker, we must also appreciate our staff who work in the different near offices across the country, that they're battling with outdated machines, but they try their best to make sure that our citizens get the national IDs. Now, I want to have assurance from the Minister, the fact that we all agree that the current machines that we have are dilapidated. But he also informs us that currently they are being tested, data are being tested using the old machines, but procurement has been set on motion to bring in new ICT materials and equipment. What assurance can we have from the Minister that once these new machines come, we won't have problem transferring the data from the old to the new, given that we have even the time constraint?
Minister, to give, in a brief, some answers to the burning questions that have been raised by members. Right Honorable Speaker, I do so pray.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, I totally agree with you, because these are very, very critical. These are very, very critical issues. But the minister's responses are part of the date. That's the only problem we have. In such a matter where it is very clearly stated, even me as presiding officer, okay? Even me as a presiding officer, I'm stuck. Now, that's why I keep quiet over the matter. until if a member raises it, then my hands are tied. Okay? My hands are tied. So in this, but I think we can agree as a house, we use 5 minutes for the minister to respond to though we give him another time, the minister goes back, you respond to these issues in writing, I give you space, okay? Honourable Minister, you think it will take you how long?
Right Honourable Speaker, even in a day, I can put down the responses because I captured them and then present
Okay.
them.
So we can do it tomorrow.
Obliged, Right Honourable Speaker.
Yeah. So then tomorrow I will, once I list it as a substantive item and he brings answers, then I will there it's a new statement. I can allow more members and I will start with independence. Okay, and the leader of opposition. Tomorrow, independence, leader of opposition, chair of the committee. I had wanted him to make a comment on this. Okay, these are your rules, honorable colleagues. So when they come in, I have no way out.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, this is a statement on the process of preparation for mass renewal of national identity cards. Last Wednesday, the Honourable Ethel Naluima, Member of Parliament for Wakiso District, raised a matter on the process for renewal of national identity cards, including whether there are any prescribed fees and how often renewals will take place. Honourable Speaker and honourable members, this serves to answer her queries, but also provide an update on the process of preparation for mass renewal of national identity cards as follows. One, rollout is slated to begin on 1st June 2024. Matters training in readiness for the new National Security Information System, NSIS, capacity building for relevant staff in line with MOSIP. Customization is ongoing for 4 weeks now in India. Financials, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, this House approved a supplementary funding of Uganda shillings 300 billion, and accordingly, this money was provided to the Ministry of Finance and Economic Development for the mass enrollment and mass renewal project, which is broken down as follows. Development, Uganda shillings 208 billion, recurrent Uganda shillings 92 billion. Honourable Speaker and honourable members, government has apportioned shillings 192 billion of the supplementary budget of 300 billion for Q3 financial year 2023-2024. And NERA expects to receive the release of the supplementary budget. Procurement of the system and other supporting accessories has been set in motion, and this includes things like UPS and generators. ICT procurements, following approval of the funding, the new National Security Information System related procurements have also commenced with requests for approval of N7 forms by NITA-U, and approvals have been obtained in that respect. A list of ICT procurements under the mass enrollment and renewal exercise is attached herewith as Annex 1. There are also other procurements, Right Honourable Speaker, related to the mass enrollment and renewal exercise, which are ongoing and also are in detail as Annex 2 to this statement. Recruitment, the Human Resource Committee has been established to handle the recruitment processes for the exercise. This is being done in consultation with the Ministry of Public Service. Recruitment money is yet to be released. In the next 1 month, advertisement is going to happen. Districts need to be keen to ensure participation. NERA is to give the necessary guidelines by 15th Feb 2024. There's also the legal issues around the exercise.
We still await that full confirmation of how it is, because this is very key. National IDs mean a lot. And two, we still request they borrow leaves from neighborhood countries that don't renew after every 10 years. Look at Kenya, look at Rwanda, look at South Africa, look at Botswana, because you are aware of how every moment we are told about budget constraints vis-a-vis the economy. And finally, being that I'm a shadow minister for local governments, and for some good time, at least from my student times, I've been close to local governments. When you refer to the fact that under the recruitment process, and you refer to the fact that districts should take in interest, then you are referring to that districts. Given all the challenges districts face through, I would pray that we later on should be provided with what exactly is going to transpire. We should know that you planned that for districts you'll be in touch with this person. You are going to, those details are needed. Don't just say districts take in. So it will be helping us more to know, for us as member of parliament, as we monitor the process, what is going on. But most of all, we pray after this, you look at our countries that do not renew as long as someone has made 18 years and use those biometrics. I thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and the Minister for making these clarifications. Right, Honorable Speaker, in my constituency, there are money lenders. I don't know which tier it is and under what license they are operating. And the only security they take is a national ID. And they have boxes and boxes of national IDs because it is the only security that our people have in order to lend them money. And I can now see the process of renewal coming. Either they are going to make a loss because their securities will no longer make sense, or if there is a requirement that somebody must hand in the old ID, many people will miss out on national IDs in Buikwe South constituencies and Buikwe district in general, because that is where these money lenders are. Dear sir, how would you want to handle such citizens who have mortgaged their national IDs? Thank you.
Honorable Nakut. Then Honorable Feta.
Right, Honorable. I also thank the Minister for the good news of cost-neutral IDs for our citizens. I was very happy. I even clapped when I heard that news, because some of our people cannot afford to replace IDs. Now, Right Honorable, there is only one thing which needs to be handled. The Minister explained a window for express fees. Even though there are free IDs, there is a window for express fees. He only, perhaps if he had also explained or given a standard waiting lead time, then it will up. Otherwise, then the waiting will be abused, as our people will be forced to wait longer so that they can pay for express fees if the standard is not set. I pray that gets added.
Thank you. Now, Minister, because me what I'm fearing is all about the deadlines and the timeline, because this process is the one from which we are going to extract the register for the elections. And we need to have this register, I think, ready by around Jan 2025. When I was checking, you need to renew 15.2 million IDs. You need to enroll around 17 million new ones, okay? And then for you to be able to do this, maybe the anticipation had been that by June of this year, you would have done it. But now, when you look at the gaps, I'm just having a fear. You're doing a great job, but you need to arrest our fears that you will meet the deadline so that we don't go into a national crisis, especially because you're changing to a new system. The same kits which are going to be used for for census are going to be used for this purpose. So procurement of the kits, integrating the system, looking at the renewal, looking at the new enrollments, extracting the national register. We are having a huge interest in this project. So the moment it fails, it can fail the whole country in terms of democracy and other issues. Yes. Honorable Feta, Honorable Joyce, Honorable God.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank you for pointing out my most immediate concern to the Honorable Minister. The task ahead compared to the previous one is much more, because you have to really work with the timeline of electoral activities. It's not only 15.5, the voter population is going to increase by about 2.5 million people. So those about 18 million voters have to be registered. And if we're going to wait up to June, and we have only about 6 months, the last 15.5 million data to be collected, it took 2 years to be collected. So the volume of work is so much that you do something quite extraordinary. I have 3 issues to present to you, to appeal to you. The timely appointment of the officers and their facilitation. That is one thing that has dragged this process back now that the money is there. The top management should not hold on to this money here. The people who do the donkey work, the front soldiers on ground, many times they are forgotten about and the quality of works is compromised. 2, political support. I want to appeal to members here. In the last registration, we had issues where our friends in the opposition would go to the constituencies and begin to demobilize the population from registering for national ID. On the last day, they are the very ones to go and register. We've had these issues. So I want to take this opportunity to appeal to the House, to all leaders, to go and mobilize citizens to register for the purpose of being citizens of this country. We should not politicize this process. This is a national exercise. It is an exercise that determines whether you're a citizen of this country or you are not. It's not a political party issue. I want to thank you.
So, Honorable Mugore.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I would like to thank the Minister for the statement which he brings with sobriety. I want to thank him. 2 or 3 things. Number 1, on the issue of training, the people who are already in India for training and recruitment. This needs a timely matter, because last time, because of the non-recruitment of these people earlier enough and failure to have proper training, caused a number of issues that many people were registered on dates that they didn't provide. You find the information paper has different date, but the actual national ID has a different date. And many people missed out even on SAGE because of such. I have an example of even my parents. They put the date of my mother's date, which was 10 years earlier, and my father could not get this SAGE even when he was 90. And yet when you look on the information paper, he had really provided the right age. So this time around, these people should have enough time of training before they do the registration. And lastly, those people whose dates were misstated or quoted, are they going to be allowed to renew with their rightful dates?
Thank you, Honorable Joyce.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My concern is about whether the ministry has an arrangement for people with disabilities who do not have fingers. In the last registration, these people were denied to register. We have a case of a man from Luero, a chairperson of the District Disability Council. He was denied to to register, and as a result, he did not get his national ID. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, we don't know whether the ministry has an arrangement or a template that is going to be designed in the form to cater for this kind of people. We have a gentleman who is a whole councillor of the district in Bunyangabo. He was born without both hands, and he was also denied to register. We want the ministry to come out and tell us how they are going to handle this kind of special people. I thank you.
Honorable Kahonda, Honorable Mbayo.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we have issues with NIRA, and in this case, where NIRA entered a joint venture agreement with the USPC, the Uganda Security Printing Company in Entebbe. Right Honorable Speaker, when we visited Entebbe, the construction of the factory, so far it's around between 30 to 50% completion, and there is still a long way. Secondly, they are supposed to provide, to supply NIRA with equipment and service the system. Right Honorable Speaker, when we reached Entebbe, the USPC completely has nothing. They openly told us as a committee that they are, for them, how they earn a living is through broking. They just come, for example, now they are dealing with immigration. They just get work from immigration, then they go outside, source the supplier, and what they get as a margin is what they survive on. Are we going to do the same with the NIRA? Are we really serving the interests of this country? Right, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Minister should actually explain this, because we are also aware that USPC, through Verdos, they are using the equipments they are supplying, and the empty IDs and the empty rather passports. They just source them from outside, and to the suppliers who actually were the suppliers of government, and the government just ran away from them, and they went through the USPC. Yet they were supplying at a very low cost, printing the national ID at a very low cost, and now it has been hiked. Right to Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Honorable Mbayo, Honorable Pachuto.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the statements, but my issue is this continuous renewal after a period of time. What does it cost this country for one, if one clocks 18 years to get the identity card until a time probably hit bats? Secondly, we have so many activities ahead of us. I really wonder whether the time frame that has been given through the report by the minister will be enough for all of us to enroll, given the fact that we have money lenders who are I think this is all over the country, because even in Luka, we have money lenders who are giving loans, and then the security and the IDs. Can't we have any other portal that can be presented if one needs a loan other than the ID? I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Pachuto.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Minister for the report, but Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to get clarity on the following. One, NIRA has been reporting a number of Ugandans with IDs ready, but have not yet picked. I would like to know, because I think that at the time of renewal, one would need the previous ID in order to renew and get a new one. What will happen to those that their IDs are ready, but for some reasons they have not been able to pick their IDs? Are you going to register them afresh or renew them on the data that you already have? And then two, Right Honorable Speaker, we have many Ugandans in the diaspora. Even some could be boarding a plane right now. Given the time frame, given the resource constraints, some of these people may not be able to fly back to Uganda to renew their IDs. What measures are in place for the Ugandans in the diaspora to be able to renew their IDs and also to enroll for those that could have traveled without the national IDs? I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Mamawi, Honorable Kayo, Honorable Azza, Honorable Timozugu, Engineer Rook.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the statement, because the biggest fear with the Ugandans was to pay money when you need to get the ID. But Minister was very clear that there was going to be no money to be paid. We are so grateful, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to request the Minister.
Who are on this side? No, I have been, now I'm going to independence and opposition. So if you're NRM and you're on this side, kindly.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Minister for the report. And Right Honorable Speaker, for quite some time, we've been struggling and fighting with the Ministry of Internal Affairs in this Parliament over delays in accessing, first of all, processing, and then people accessing the national ID. Now, Right Honorable Speaker, as we move into the second phase of mass recruitment and mass enrollment, we would want the Minister this time to consider ensuring that there is efficiency and effectiveness by NIRA in issuing the national IDs to the citizen right from now. One of the challenges has been NIRA operating on very dilapidated computers and equipments and system, and possibly application. Now, out of the budget of 300 billion that has been provided, the ministry is providing 208 billion for development. I think the priority must go into having the right computers, equipments, and application. So that, honorable members, I would think the question was saying we provide for having a window for paying for express processing of for ID, we should not accept. Rather, we should ensure that the ministry gets into efficiency. A colleague has just mentioned issuance of driver's licenses. Why can't the ministry borrow the idea from Ministry of Transport in the process of providing the driver's licenses? They use the same machines, the same computers, the same equipment, the same security features, so that NIRA can be able to provide national ID basing on that. Then finally, Right Honorable Speaker, we provided 300 billion. And the minister is reporting that government has apportioned 190 billion for this quarter. Unfortunately, it has not yet been released. So when is the quarter money going to be released? I thought the quarter funds has already been released for quarter 3. And in this report, the minister, I think you need to make a correction on quarter 3 financial year 2032, 2024. I think it should be 2023, 2024. That correction should be there. But because Right Honorable Speaker, all these delays, recruiting people to do mass enrollment, if the money is not released, because on recruitment, you have reported here that money for recruitment has not yet been released. And you have 1 month to start the process. Are you sure without money now, within the next 1 month, that means you may get it only within 1 week? Are you going to meet the target? Right Honorable Speaker, I think this is the time where as Parliament, we are asking Minister of Finance that this is not for business as usual. Provide the Minister of Internal Affairs, NIRA, with the money so that they can start work, so that we don't stampede ourselves and get into chaos with the government as failing election process, because members on the opposition, the other side.
Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, on the issue of recruitment, okay? I think, Honorable Minister, you can start on the process of recruitment because it's long. And then by the time you issue contracts to this staff, you would have sorted out issues of finance. But the day you wait that money first reaches your account, then you start recruitment. You know, it will be a problem. So you better start on the process. I remember how you recruited teachers. and then you waited for deployment and issuing appointment letters. So you need to start on recruitment right away so that the money comes like this, you're just issuing appointment letters and you're moving because time is not on our side. Intebe? Honorable Kakembo.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want also to thank the Minister for this process of recruitment and massive registration. As Parliament, I think we are here to correct the mistakes that we had last time. And among the mistakes, that's why we had a lot of, I would call them factory damages. Many national IDs had issues, spelling error, and many others. This time I want to call upon the Minister to consider this in a recruitment and deployment of your staff. Staff should be deployed and sent to areas where they have at least some cultural relationship, language understanding, and the orthography is very important. Many people have their names misspelled. You deploy somebody from Buganda to go and work in a language, for example. That's how they write the names. Somebody has a national ID, but his name is, badly spelled. It is bad. Some people don't want even to identify themselves with national IDs. You are going to recruit Honorable Minister. I beg that you deploy people to areas where they have that cultural connection to help us come up with the real correct names to avoid factory damages of our national IDs I be to submit.
Your honorable colleagues, around me, I'm still this side, but around me pick one person from a very unique community, the IK, the endangered.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for that. I want to thank the Minister for the submission. One thing I wanted the Minister to clarify is on defaulting by the citizens. For how long will you charge them? Because their areas had to reach areas, people who are